Hi guys, Pure Sickly Lemon back again with another video instead of resting because lying in bed is boring and I'm Gen Z, so if I don't get a hit of dopamine every 5 minutes, I start getting withdrawals. Thank you, social media companies. Speaking of companies, Gaijin. About a week ago, they proposed some economy revision changes. I've read them, and they're good for the most part, but do still have some things that could be improved on. So let's discuss them, shall we? Quick side note, this video is relevant to Ground RB only, as that's the primary game mode I play. Plenty of other YouTubers have covered ARB and Naval and all that, so go watch them if you're looking for that kind of analysis. So starting out with the positives, Silver Lion gains. Basically, Gaijin have lowered repair costs and buffed SL multipliers across the board. Here is the spreadsheet they released, and it looks okay. Don't worry about the red bits, I'll cover them later. Overall, repair costs have decreased by 17.4% and SL earning multipliers have increased by 12.7% on average, which is nice. Gaijin said that this was to make all vehicles break even for all players, both free-to-play and premium users. I think this is great, obviously. Purchasing vehicles has become a slog for the average player over the last couple of years, requiring at least twice as long to purchase a vehicle as it does to research them, due to their repair costs being prohibitively high and their SL earning multipliers being prohibitively low. It is great to see Gaijin finally listening to player feedback and improving the game. All it took was a mass riot and a boycott, which it really shouldn't have taken, but I digress. Repair costs are also going to be calculated based on time spent alive, meaning that if you are alive for, let's say, 15 seconds because an enemy BMP-2M has rushed your spawn, you won't pay the full repair cost of the vehicle you spawned in, making spawn camping a little less frustrating. They're also giving you a free repair if you get team killed, which is something I thought that was already in the game, but apparently not. You will also get partial compensation for capping a point if you die before you can cap it, which is something I am very happy to see and something I wish they implemented earlier. Onto the premium Silver Lions bonuses. To sum up Gaijin's word salad, if you have premium account active, you can't lose lions unless you team kill someone. I like this change as it gives more of an incentive to buy premium while also improving the player experience with it, and not losing lions is nice, particularly if you are paying money on a free-to-play game. You will also get some free backups for premium vehicles when you purchase them, which is great because the 9.3 to 10.3 BR bracket is nearly unplayable due to your team being made up of level 10 premium players who bought the Terms or Leopard 2 Panzer Battalion and then leave the moment they die. If you've played a single match of top tier, you'll also know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, I envy you. These backups will reduce this phenomena from happening, at least in the short term, making these BRs playable again without having to pull out esports levels of sweat just to break even. And I don't know about you, but I really don't find that fun. Speaking of researching top tier, let's discuss research points, or RP. To start with, Gaijin are grouping more vehicles into folders, effectively reducing the size of tech trees across the board, meaning that it takes less time to research top tier vehicles overall, due to you being required to research less vehicles before you actually get there. They are also buffing RP rewards by introducing skill-based RP reward mechanics for 3, 6, and 9 kills, which give an additional 15, 30, and 50% RP gains respectively per match. I don't think I really need to explain why more RP is good. Off the top of my head, when I was researching the 2A6, it cost me about 310,000 research points, and at that time I was making, 5 to 6,000 a match with premium active, which means it took me a considerable amount of matches to get it, to say nothing of the time it took me to grind out the 1 million silver lions required to buy the bloody thing. There is also going to be a research bonus applied to a second nation if you have researched top tier in your first nation. For example, if you researched the Leopard 2A6, you would receive a boost towards the Japanese Type 10s. This is great as it means you aren't being punished for playing the game and for playing nations that you like, as well as helping experienced players to advance out of the low BRs of a second nation quickly, reducing the frustration of new players coming up against players with thousands of more hours than them. And now the part you've all been waiting for, I'm sure, the downsides to these changes. My main gripe is that Gaijin is rolling them out over a long period of time. I seriously don't understand why some of them couldn't have come out at the same time as the La Royale update. For example, the changes to repair costs and Silver Lions or research point gains. It would be pretty simple to change the values of them with something as simple as Control F. I don't care how much spaghetti code Gaijin has put in War Thunder, last time I checked Control F works for everything. I would also like to draw your attention to this statement by Gaijin. In a nutshell, Gaijin have given themselves a way out of implementing these changes in the long term. Call me a pessimist, but I have a feeling that Gaijin will simply try to revert the changes in a year or so, citing this statement as the reason. They'll probably say something along the lines of, "Oh, the changes we implemented a year or two ago caused the economy to be, out of whack, and the players are making tremendous progress at an unprecedented rate, and it's really making us sad because our wallets are actually being fuller than before because the players are happy and we can't have that." Anyway, I'm getting off track. This really does make me uneasy for the long-term future of the game, because it's entirely possible we'll just settle into a cycle of every few years Gaijin screwing with the economy enough to cause a riot, then making these big promises only to, roll them back in a year or two. I would love to be proven wrong on that front, but given Gaijin's lackluster history of economy changes, I do think it is sadly a distinct possibility. Another gripe I have is that some vehicles' repair costs are going up. I understand that Gaijin said they wanted every vehicle to be statistically break even, heavy quotation marks around break even, but that doesn't mean you raise the repair costs of vehicles that were statistically above the break even point. That's like saying the cost of living is too high, so we'll lower the price of food while raising the price of rent. That's like saying the cost of living is too high because rent prices are absolutely astronomical, so we'll lower the price of rent, but to compensate, we'll actually bring the price of food up because you can actually afford that. Statistically, everything balances out and everything is break even, but it still isn't good. Not the best analogy I know, but I live in New Zealand. Anyway, Gaijin obviously should not raise repair costs of any vehicle, but should actually just lower them across the board. This does bring me nicely onto my next point, Gaijin not actually doing enough. If you look at the spreadsheet that Gaijin put out, an average reduction in repair costs by 17.4% for ground vehicles is actually only about 773 silver lions knocked off on average per vehicle. While statistically break even, according to Gaijin, I really don't think this is enough. Yes, SL multipliers have also gone up by an average of 12.7%, but that actually only equates to an average change of plus 0.22 times, which isn't really much. Yes, the box on the spreadsheet is green, but even a 1% increase would make the box on the spreadsheet green. That is to say, these changes don't really do enough to make a noticeable impact on your Silver Lines balance. You will still have to play a lot of games for these changes to actually affect you in any meaningful way, and while you are playing said games, you will be constantly researching new vehicles and feeling frustrated that you can't buy them, making you more inclined to either open your wallet and pay the ridiculous prices for more Silver Lions, or to just quit altogether. I would suggest a repair cost decrease of about 50% across the board, as well as at least a blanket 25% SL earnings increase, including premiums. Not only would this make tech tree vehicles more forgiving to play, it would also incentivize players to buy premiums without sacrificing tech tree vehicles. It would make premium vehicles more of an option as opposed to a necessity, which would actually encourage more people to buy them. Because War Thunder would be getting more reviews, Gaijin would seem to be a better company, more people would pay the game, which would all just lead to more money for Gaijin. So Gaijin would have a happy player base, and they'd be making more money. Win-win. But we all know Gaijin, and considering their track record, I don't think they'd be doing that anytime soon. So to sum everything up, the economy changes are definitely a step in the right direction, but I believe that there could definitely be more done to improve them, and by extension, the game as a whole. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Well, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll endeavour to get more videos out soon, seeing as my uni semester has now finished, and I actually have free time for a few weeks. If you have any video suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I love reading them. Once again, thank you all very much for watching, and as always, stay salty, my lemons.